Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pearce. This is a US politics update on the Musk-Trump feud. Did that long live stream last night with Greg Terry dropping in to give you a kind of live reaction as it was happening to the massive fracas between the two men, two of the most important men on earth, really, given what powers they have, one being the richest man in the world, right at the center, or was at the center of the US government, the other being the person supposedly at the center of the US government and the leader of the free world, but appearing to make that country he's in charge of less free with each passing week. Okay, so this huge spat really erupted most ferociously when Elon Musk dropped the bombshell that the reason why the Epstein files hadn't been released were because they were connected to Trump in some way. Trump appeared in them in some way. Now, some people have been interpreting this as Elon Musk saying that Trump was a paedophile, but actually he doesn't say that. But he is connected to those files, and I had posited this previously because the Attorney General Pam Bondi had not released them, supposedly on account of there being national security interests involved, and that can only be a connection to Donald Trump in some way. Now, we don't know what those connections are. We know he was on the plane logs, Jeffrey Epstein, his plane logs 7 times, didn't visit the island apparently, but he was, according to Jeffrey Epstein, like 10 years worth of good friends with, the two men were very, very close. So the question is, how does this play out? Now, it can go one or two ways. They double down and it becomes a massive explosion that divides the MAGA world. And there are elements of that having happened already because of last night. People being unfollowed by Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk and such like, causing a bit of a ruckus. And you have people really selecting sides, whether it's Trump or whether it's Musk. There are many in the MAGA world that are being forced to take a side. That's divisive. And good if you are in opposition to the Trump government, because this is chaotic, it's unprofessional, it's bringing down the brand of the Trump government, and it's also just politically really poisonous. Now, given it could really implode the government quite seriously, and given the incredible nature of those revelations, even though many of us had predicted this, you would think that the chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and the people around Trump would want to bury the hatchet here. They would want to have some kind of reconciliation with Musk, because if they are going to go separate ways, then that might mean that Musk's platform is used against Trump. It means that Musk's money and power is used against Trump. And that doesn't end well, really, for either of them, because then Trump retaliates against Musk's business entities and cuts contracts. Now, there have been some interesting threats last night, where Musk's contracts were threatened by Trump. And you're thinking, well, if Trump's claiming these are, wasteful, rubbish contracts, or whatever the wording was that he stated, then that's quite an admission, because you are saying that actually, as it stands, unless you're lying to our face, which, Trump, if we're taking out your word, which we should do, then you are admitting that the contracts with Musk are nothing to do with them being the right and proper and decent and efficient and excellent contracts that produce a great return on investment. You are admitting that they're only done because Musk is where he is and you were just mates at that time. If you really believe the easiest way of saving billions and billions is by cutting those contracts, then you would do it, right? But you would have thought. Anyway, you've got this choice. Do you bury the hatchet, or do you go all in on each other? And funnily enough, today, there are rumours that both are happening, right? So Musk suggests making peace with Trump would benefit the US. Elon Musk appears to have hinted that reconciliation with President Trump would be in the best interest of the country after their public spat escalated last night. In response to the hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, a known Trump donor, calling for the pair to make peace for the benefit of our great country on X, Musk replied, "You're not wrong." But that doesn't really tell us all that much. And actually, we have a situation whereby there's news reporting that it's irreparable. Okay, so after days of public clashes over a key legislative bill, Trump and White House aides are signaling a possible détente with Elon Musk. A call is scheduled to ease tensions. Trump White House aides signal a possible détente with Musk is the headline there. And here, however, is what is being reported on ABC, which kind of goes against that.
So, John, let's file this whole feud under shocking but not surprising. You call the president on his cell phone at 6:45, he picks up.
Yeah, he picked up. Look, there's been reporting out there that the White House is working to put together a call between Elon Musk and Donald Trump to broker some kind of peace. I asked Donald Trump about that. He said he's not particularly interested in talking to Elon Musk. He said Elon wants to talk to him. He's not ready to talk to Musk, who he called a man who has lost his mind.
They have a lot of leverage over.
So this is a journalist who has literally spoken to Trump, and Trump says, "I'm not interested." He's a man that's lost his mind. So it's not to say they won't talk and they won't sort of smooth things over, because my view would be they have to. They have to, because at the moment things are on course to really damage both of them.
For each other.
Oh, there's no question about that. Look, Elon Musk, obviously the richest man on the planet, the biggest Republican donor in the history of Republican donors. But this is, in many ways,
contracts with the government.
Yeah, but this is asymmetric. I mean, Donald Trump, to use his phrase, really holds the cards here. Donald Trump could do severe damage to Elon Musk if he were to go vindictive. And he's been remarkably restrained.
Good point, because actually, though he's thrown out a couple of comments, if you look at what he said in terms of Truth Social, just remains on there what he said last night, and a few extra things to do with meme coins and the New York Times, but nothing to do with Elon Musk. Nothing since his latest, "I don't mind Elon turning against me." But even that wasn't massively anti-Elon Musk. So he's right. Trump has been restrained with regard to Elon Musk. And Susie Wiles must be really happy about that, his chief of staff, because that has, I think, minimized the damage that could have been done.
Been remarkable restraint from Donald Trump. I mean, look, Elon Musk went nuclear. You're talking about his impeachment, talking about tying him to the world's most notorious sex trafficker, all of this, and Donald Trump has been restrained. But he could go after the government contracts. He could announce criminal investigations into what Elon Musk was doing on Doge. I mean, you've seen Steve Bannon suggest he could use the Defense Production Act to try to seize parts of SpaceX. I mean,
there are lots of options for Trump. So, as I said last night, Elon Musk is an illegal immigrant, as in he overstayed his student visa. He gave up being a student and remained in the country. The irony is incredible, but he could be deported for being an illegal immigrant. Trump could also rejuvenate all the investigations into Elon Musk personally and his entities through the SEC, the FCC, and the FAA, all of which were stopped as a result of Musk being in the center of the government and being Doge and cutting the very departments who were investigating him, so on and so forth. They could be rejuvenated. Trump could, as you've heard, drop all of those contracts that are making Musk an awful lot of money. Musk has done very well out of US government subsidies for a very long time, which was also ironic given his position at Doge, cutting all these contracts, but oddly enough, not cutting any of his own contracts. And he has really profited off the back of government, not handouts, but certainly government contracts.
There's a lot to Donald Trump
to be deported as well.
Yeah, he also called him being deported. So look, Elon Musk is very powerful. He's also a very big target.
One of the other surprising things here, it took several hours for the vice president, J.D. Vance, to weigh in here. He's usually on social media all the time.
He's on social media. He's got a hair trigger on this stuff. He was silent for 8 hours while Elon Musk, somebody who has been very close to J.D. Vance,
Even
went
before
after
Trump.
Yes, they were allies before he was his running mate. And then when J.D. Vance finally came out, what did he do? He didn't hit back at Elon Musk. He didn't really defend specifically, none of it, Donald Trump against those charges. He said, I stand beside Donald Trump. I mean, where else?
I mean, that is a very soft statement. 10 hours it took him to write, President Trump has done more than any person in my lifetime to earn the trust of the movement he leads. I'm proud to stand beside him. Didn't really say anything. I mean, okay, he stands by Trump. You could take that in a more literal sense because he's vice president, and I'm proud to do so, but it doesn't really say much at all, I would conclude.
I mean, where else is he going to stand? He's the vice president. So a lot of people in the MAGA movement are wondering where J.D. Vance's loyalties are after that.
And of course, his loyalties will be to Peter Thiel, whose money made him Senator of Ohio and gave him his, I think, first big job in a hedge fund, was it? Venture capital firm. J.D. Vance is the darling of the techno-fascists, Peter Thiel, David Sachs, Elon Musk, for those three South Africans and others, Andreessen and whatnot. He is their plan, it appears, for power in the United States. They are getting all the data from the government. Elon Musk has helped with that, with Doge, scraping the data. They want J.D. Vance, who's ideologically aligned with them. He is their man. They got him as vice president. He wasn't going to be vice president. It was those guys that convinced Trump to take on J.D. Vance as a vice president. So it is no surprise that J.D. Vance has been very, very quiet on, who he supports here. Probably waiting to see which way the wind blows here, and then jumping on board afterwards.
That yesterday, I assume we'll hear more from him, but it was a very quiet period.
Fascinating. I assume the president's probably watching since he took your call. Let's see if he calls you back in a few minutes. Thanks, John. Rebecca.
That's pretty incredible stuff. Now, unsurprisingly, the Democrats have come out, and rightfully so, by the way, and demanded that the DOJ release some information here. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee are asking DOJ, so Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, so the lead lawyer for the American government, and the FBI's Kash Patel to immediately clarify whether Musk's claims about Trump and the Epstein files are true, according to Axios. And Congressman Sri Thanadar here saying, I'm calling on Pam Bondi to immediately release the Epstein files. It's time we find out the truth about President Trump. So that's understandable. But I wonder whether, I don't know the legality here of whether they have to release that information. If they are demanded, if it's demanded of them by the House Oversight Committee, I'm not sure. If they refuse to, then of course that makes it look like they're trying to cover something up. And if they do, then you're assuming that that's going to essentially indict Donald Trump. So it's a really difficult position for them to be in. But as the Guardian Live blog here says, on the one hand, Musk suggests making peace, which would benefit the US, and then on the other hand, you mean the man who has lost his mind. Trump says he's not particularly interested in speaking to Musk, according to ABC News, as you've just seen. So there are those kind of two real options and two different situations at the moment. Now, here is Laura Ingraham, who from here Fox News, talking to Charlie Kirk about this Musk-Trump split.
Donald Trump built this movement for over 10 years. His supporters are not going anywhere. I hope that Elon and Trump reconcile. It'd be good for the country, and to do so privately.
Now, Charlie Kirk, the guy in charge of Turning Point USA, is a Christian Christian fundamentalist far right kind of guy. He has been unfollowed by Elon Musk. So he is seemingly on the Donald Trump side of things rather than the Musk side of things. And Elon and Laura Ingraham here seems to think that the whole separation is pretty final.
Well, I talked to an insider today who said it's irreparable. That was the line. It is irreparable. But look, Donald Trump will sit down with anybody. So it's correct. Probably not irreparable on Trump's side. But Elon Musk, I mean, again, you run your own kingdom at your companies. You're still a public company. You can't totally do everything, but you're in charge. But look, Donald Trump's in charge, and Congress is Congress. So you gotta kind of you have to deal with the reality of what you're.
Congress is Congress. I don't think means anything, particularly, especially given that Congress appears to have no teeth at the moment. It isn't doing anything. What
you have in front of you. Trump's a realist. He's, and I love Rand Paul. Everyone loves Rand Paul, but Rand Paul ran for president. I don't know how many times, but. If they want to try to run Rand Paul again, I mean, God bless them. I don't think that's going to work. But I want to get to
Donald Trump.
And she's referencing the people who are against the bill, the big, beautiful bill that is at the moment going up through the Senate. And there are senators like Rand Paul, a libertarian, who doesn't want to increase the debt ceiling. He is railing against the bill, and he has been somewhat platformed or amplified by Elon Musk, who is himself really against the bill. But I was arguing last night, and I still think this is one of the biggest potential outcomes of this whole thing, is if this gives a permission structure for Republican lawmakers to A, be more critical of Trump, just in public statements and whatnot, and B, vote against Trump's agenda. So in the House of Representatives, we had a 215 to 214 vote that was the slimmest of majorities for the Republicans to pass through the big, beautiful bill, the budget reconciliation bill, through the lower house. And that was because 2 Democrats have died and those seats haven't yet been filled. And so it took, the situation was that 100% of Democrats voted against it, but they were missing two votes. It may have even been 3 votes. We had 2 Republicans cross the aisle. We had one that I think was a no vote, so maybe didn't even turn up, and 2 were present but didn't vote, which means that they abstained, as far as I understand it. So very few people stood up against that bill, even though some people subsequently have started saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was in the bill. I would have voted against it." The Senate, you're going to have more people that I think are willing to stand up to the bill, like Rand Paul and others. Even John Thune, the majority speaker, has been critical in the last 24 hours, I think. So what Elon Musk has done is given, I think, energy and courage to people to be able to be more publicly critical of Trump and actually come out and vote against the bill. Anthony Scaramucci said last night in his live response to this whole debacle, is he said that this is a day that Trump starts decaying, is his word, decaying. So you are going to have a Trump decay now. And I absolutely agree 100%. I think Donald Trump is at the height of his power now, and for every day going forward, I think his power will get less and less. I think Elon Musk has shown him, as in Trump, not to be invincible. Really was a watershed moment last night. And that means if he becomes, if he's not invincible, and people have the courage to stand up against him, then passing any bills, any legislation, when you have already a razor thin majority, becomes increasingly more difficult. And it looks like, even though the Republicans have a trifecta, he could end up becoming a lame duck president, because the Democrats are very close to the Republicans in the House of Representatives. So it will take very little for things not to be able to be passed. You need to work in a bipartisan manner in order to get bills passed. And the Republicans only have that wafer-thin majority, and that means the Democrats do have some power without having power. They can upset the apple cart. It just takes a few Republicans to have an issue. I love this from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. The girls are fighting. Brilliant. So then what else is happening? Well, this is the same as what I said earlier, where people are having to pick their sides. But we can understand this in terms of politicians, such as, lawmakers in Congress. But actually, this is happening in the social media spaces, most predominantly Twitter or X. This might not be very important to most people on Earth, or many people on Earth, but actually, there is a sizable set of people who exist in these information spaces and whose politics get shaped by the ecosystems they exist in. Twitter is a really toxic environment as far as I am concerned, but there are, and because there are people like Catturd, Alex Jones, Charlie Kirk, a whole suite of people whose pretty poisonous ideas get thrown around, and they have an awful, well, I'd say they have an awfully big following, but actually you do wonder how many of their following are real people, because we know the prevalence of bots and trolls, Russia, China, etc., etc. But that aside, these are quite important people in these online spaces, and they have started picking sides, and they don't all agree with each other. So you have Alex Jones, who is your conspiracy theorist, right-wing fringe nutjob, who used to own InfoWars and has now lost a load of money because of the Sandy Hook controversy, where he called the elementary school shooting basically a false flag operation, as if it didn't really happen. And then the parents of the Sandy Hook children who were killed were like, we have really lost, do you think we haven't lost children? So they then took him to court. They obviously won that, and he's lost a load of money. And so InfoWars had to be sold to, well, it ended up being bought by The Onion. I think that still went through, and that's all been quite controversial for the people in those kind of right-wing ecosystems. Well, Catturd exists in that ecosystem, but as you can see here, he is a Trumpist, whereas Alex Jones is coming out as a Muskite. So Muscovite, maybe. Breaking, says Catturd. Elon Musk has unsubscribed and unfollowed me, right? He says. And by the way, Elon Musk spent several years platforming Catturd and amplifying Catturd's pretty horrible statements. Alex Jones says he's not in my Trump cult. Many large influencer accounts desperately tried to stay neutral today. I've never changed in years. If you want to criticize Trump's bill, no problem. If you don't like Trump's policies, no problem. I'm okay with that. If you don't like Trump's tariffs, I'll listen to your side. But when you come out and call Trump a pedophile, that's when you've crossed the red line. Don't care about anything you have to say after that. And this is the idea that the interpretation for many is that Elon Musk has openly called Trump a pedophile, which he hasn't technically done, by the way, but there is that connection, obviously, to Epstein. Right. And as Ron Filipkowski said, all the worst people were fighting last night. So Alex Jones says Trump needs to respond ASAP. I noticed he did not take questions at his public meeting today, to which Catturd replies, what a POS Alex Jones turned out to be. What a effing fraud. He's literally implying here that Trump is a pedo. He's been silent all day while Trump has been viciously attacked with lies. I used to respect Alex Jones. Now he's just a piece of fraud. What an effing sellout. And the thing is, like, both of these sides are right. Like, the criticisms of Musk from Trumpites are correct, and the criticisms of Trump from Muscovites are correct. And the rest of us who don't live in these ecosystems sit back and eat popcorn. But it's hilarious when they both have points. So they're both kind of validly attacking each other. That's because you're all idiots. The MAGA civil war hit the Alex Jones versus Catturd phase, says Republicans against Trump, in answer to that. And that's how people are seeing it. You know, it's about picking sides. I've only picked these two here, but, you know, you can see this being repeated online. To which Pekka Kallioniemi says, this recent quarrel really reveals people's motives. Those seeking political power, Jack Posobiec and Steve Bannon. So Steve Bannon's called for Musk to be impeached and to be, called for Elon Musk to be deported because Elon Musk was agreeing that Trump should be impeached. And some of these are really big things. It's very, like Laura Ingraham says, it's very difficult to see this as being repairable. Like, when you are calling for impeachment, when you're calling for deportation, when you're accusing one of the other people here of being associated with a paedophile, so on and so forth, these are really difficult wounds to just plaster over. So, those seeking political power, Jack Posobiec and Steve Bannon, side with Trump, while the grifters chasing money, Alex Jones, Ian Miles Chong, side with Elon. And I think that there's some truth to that. So yeah, it's all happening at the moment. Stuff's going on all the time. But we'll see what happens. JD Vance, another comment here. There are many lies the corporate media tells about President Trump. One of the most glaring is that he's impulsive or short-tempered. Anyone who has seen him operate under pressure knows that's ridiculous. So JD Vance seemingly defending Trump's rather calm, and actually he has been calm, rather calm reaction to this. Obviously, Adam Kinzinger finding that particularly hilarious. Now, the latest is that Donald Trump is considering getting rid of his Tesla, according to the Wall Street Journal. I'm sure that'd be the first thing he does. As of yesterday evening, the car was still parked outside the West Wing. CBS reports it's been parked there for weeks. So that Tesla never seemed to have been used anyway. But yeah, I guess we're going to have to wait to see how the dust settles here. I mean, this is only the morning after the night before, but this is really important that, if they don't sort this out, this does make Donald Trump's power far more fragile than it was 36 hours ago. This really is important. It's important for getting the bill across the line. Now, I don't think there will be any chance of Elon Musk advocating for this bill. The vehemence with which he's been saying kill the bill and the amount he stands to lose from this bill passing, I think, is, and also how ridiculous it makes the Doge cuts look in the context of raising of the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. I don't think there is any chance of Trump seeing Elon Musk support this bill. So I think at the very least, this bill is in a lot of trouble. And if they don't somehow make things up, then it further, I think it further brings Trump's rule into a phase of vulnerability here, which it didn't seem like it had, say, a week ago. He's been able to do all sorts of pretty horrific things. ICE agents whisking people off the streets with no due process, locking them up, sending them to El Salvador, and then all sorts of other things, trying to change judiciary, the media, all sorts of stuff going on. And no one seems to be able to stop it other than the courts. And actually, it seems like there's going to be a big battle between the Trump administration and the courts. Well, perhaps for those Republicans who still maintain a little bit of dignity, that have not had the guts to do anything about it. We heard from one Republican who was interviewed the other day saying that they felt they couldn't vote one way or the other, not to do with the bill, but it was something previously, because of the threats they were receiving and their families were receiving from the base. Well, this situation might stop that from happening going forward, or give these people just a little bit more courage to be able to stand up to Trump. And I think, as I said, and as Scaramucci said, his power is now going to be decaying, and he will struggle, I think, to get his agenda rammed through Congress. Certainly it won't be as easy as it was. Let me know what you think. Really appreciate your support. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.